Hey, good morning.
The two officers are coordinating as we've been doing everything else. And for record purposes, the entire audio is quite long, but I'm going to go to the 8-minute and 37-second mark, and I believe you as a witness will recognize what's happening. Okay, are you ready to proceed?
Yes, sir.
We're going to do it very similar to what we did yesterday as it relates to what you heard, etc. Okay?
All right.
Now I'm going to hit pause. I'm at 100%. We ran into the same situation with Stingle yesterday. I'm going to try again. Before we go much further, can you hear that, Mr. Enfield?
No, sir.
I even had Miss Tanisha help me. Give him a try a few more seconds, see if he gets better. The good news is we're not to anything. But were you able to hear that?
Very faintly, yes, sir.
All right, between the doors and the keys and I'm going to do the best. If you can't hear something, you just tell us, okay?
Yes, sir.
Now, see, John? First of all, whose voice was that?
It sounds to be like Officer Martin.
Is that a recording from the night of Tyre Nichols' arrest?
Yes, sir.
And you said it sounds like him and Martin?
Yes, sir.
Where Wayne and Ross. Hey, look at Floyd. Suspect is running down Ross.
You recognize that voice?
Yes, sir.
Whose voice was it?
That was my voice.
You're 2938, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Young male black, red build, blue jeans, and hoodie.
Sounds to me like you're what?
Out of breath.
We earlier saw your body cam in the attempted arrest of Tyre Nichols at Ross and Rains Road. Are these calls lined up with that time frame?
Yes, sir.
Is that why you're out of breath?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, down Ross. We lights off.
By the way, we've heard that a few times. What is the dispatcher asking you
She's asking what were the charges.
on the fleeing?
Suspect, yes, sir.
And do you recall an answer ever being given by you or anyone else to the dispatcher?
No, sir, not that I recall.
Do you know why? Do you know why you nor any of the other officers announced to the dispatcher, what the charges were? Slip your mind or what?
Yes, sir, it just slipped my mind. I wasn't even listening to the radio because at that point I was helping Haley.
Proceed again at 10 minutes and 29 seconds.
Yeah, the Scorpio in November, really quick.
Who was that?
It sounded like Officer Martin again,
And what is he asking?
asking if there were any other Scorpion units in the area
And to what?
and to start heading to this area.
Now, if that call goes out out to you as a Scorpion team member or a Memphis police officer? What does that mean to you, for you to do?
You need to get there if possible.
Well,
If you're not,
none of us are cops. You say if possible, what do you mean by if possible?
if you're not tied up on another call, if you're not in the middle of a traffic stop, you need to drop everything and head to that location.
What would happen if you decided, I'm not going on that call?
Realistically, other cops will start talking about you.
Would you be disciplined?
Hey y'all,
Possibly, yes, sir.
Gentry. I've been missing you too. How y'all doing?
Whose voice was that?
Sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
His number's 2931, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And what was Justin Smith putting out on the dispatch?
That he was en route to that area to assist.
Back on 1045. Did you recognize that voice?
It sounded like Officer Mills.
And is that Mills saying he's on his way as well?
Is asking the dispatch for the last four of the CAD for, I assume, on a previous stop, and then he's going to head that way.
Okay, you're using acronyms, things like that. CAD is...
Computer automated dispatch. Anytime something happens to where the police are called, it generates an event number so that everything is in numerical order for what happened during that day.
And does that allow the officer to look on the CAD, the computer in the car, to find out what's next to do?
Yes, sir.
Back on at 1056.
Negative 2938.
You're 38, is that right?
Yes, sir.
What were you asked?
She was asking if I still had eyes on the suspect.
What was your response?
Negative.
Back on at 1127. Did you recognize that voice?
It sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
And what did Justin Smith ask?
Can we set up a perimeter?
What is a perimeter?
We know the location where the suspect was last seen. Can we get officers in that area to make sure that they're still somewhat in that neighborhood?
Back on at 1140. I'm going to get paused there at 1149. The dispatcher said something about a radio call to all Scorpion cars. What did she say?
Can all Scorpion cars head to that location and bring to Ross?
Did she use the word pull down?
Yes, sir.
What does pull down mean in cop lane?
Pull down means can you just pull over where your partners are to assist them?
It's an officer needing assistance. Go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Back on at 1149. That's Justin again asking the same question, right?
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 1159. What did the dispatcher tell Justin in his request for perimeter?
That there weren't any more cars.
All right. Going on at 1203. Whose voice was that?
That sounded like Officer Martin.
The he that he's referring to is who?
Mr. Nichols.
Moving on at 1223.
Negative, make a call, run it down, Ross.
That's you, correct?
Yes, sir.
and you're responding to Martin's call.
Yes, sir.
Who is 2933?
I believe that was Officer Martin.
And pursuant to policy, if a police officer uses one of his weapons, taser, spray, what are y'all supposed to do?
Yes, so per policy, we're supposed to alert a supervisor and call the fire department.
And that's what that call is about?
Yes, sir.
To inform dispatcher?
Yes, sir.
All right, and then if we're listening for your supervisor, that would be Lieutenant Dwayne Smith, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And his number is 2901?
Yes, sir.
All right. Back on at 13. All right. I heard dispatcher call 2901, and then I heard someone say check. Was that Lieutenant Dwayne Smith?
Yes, sir.
Because we're not police officers, and I'm just asking, is that Dwayne Smith saying, hey, I heard that transmission?
Yes, sir. In police language, the word check is just an easy way just to say okay.
Moving on at 1311.
Please come in hitting the like button.
Whose voice was that?
Officer Justin Smith,
What's he telling dispatch to do?
to have the fire department head to that location based on the fact that he knows that at least pepper spray was used.
I got a silly question. You got a lieutenant being paid to be the supervisor. He didn't make that call, did he? The lieutenant.
Not that I can hear, no, sir.
Assume that you're hearing everything, okay?
Yes, sir.
Dispatch, does dispatch know the policies and procedures of MPD that says if chemical spray is used to go ahead and roll fire department?
Please hit the like button.
Yes, sir.
But that call appears to be Justin telling dispatcher to do it, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right, moving on at 1323. Your voice. Whose voice?
I wasn't able to hear that voice.
It's okay. We'll move on.
Sorry.
Whose voice was that?
It sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
And is the he that he's referring to the suspect?
Yes, sir.
Is it I'm just asking for my own edification. Is it my imagination that I'm hearing the cops call outs much clearer and louder than I hear the dispatcher, or is it just because the dispatcher, to your knowledge, is just a low talker?
I'm same with you. The cops are coming through more clearly, and dispatch is a little more mumbled.
And did you find that to be common as a patrolman out there, that dispatchers kind of quiet and mumbled?
Yes, sir. There were times that we would have to tell dispatchers, hey, can you speak up, or you're coming in muffled.
Okay. Moving on at 1415.
jacket, like a orange and red, and only wild hair, swim.
Whose voice was that describing the suspect?
It sounds to be Officer Martin.
Back on at 1440.
He's good at that part.
Is that also Emmett Martin that we just heard?
Yes, sir.
Moving on, 1448.
2938, he also read that I deployed my taser.
And who was that?
That was my voice.
And what are you doing?
Just making sure again that the dispatcher knew that I had used my taser.
Is that pursuant to policy?
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 1457. What'd she say?
She told me that she does have it written down on her system that I used my taser, and she does have the fire department en route.
Moving at 1504. Just before I start. So at this point, Tyre Nichols has not been captured. Is that right?
I don't believe so. Yes, sir.
You haven't heard it on the radio, have you?
No, sir.
Okay. So at this point, at least from the radio standpoint, Mr. Nichols has not been captured or spotted.
Right.
And yet, you, Justin, and who knows, maybe somebody else, have let the dispatcher know to get medical over there. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
The first one happened to be Justin Smith, but then you did it as well, right?
Yes, sir.
And the officers, it sounds like to me, have reported to their supervisor the pepper spray, the taser, and a fleeing suspect to the supervisor through the dispatch radios.
Everybody
Is that right?
called but
Yes,
the
sir.
guys who did it.
Back on at 1507.
But I guess that's what they pay for.
1967.
Whose voice was that?
Lieutenant Smith.
And what is Lieutenant Smith asking the dispatcher for?
Can she check to see if there's a K-9 officer available to help search the area?
Moving on, 1519.
Where they say you see
Whose voice is that?
Sounds to be Officer Martin.
And whose tag is he asking to be run?
Mr. Nichols.
Moving on at 1532.
I gave you a tag number on me to be able to give you the information on.
Is that him and Martin?
Yes, sir.
Back on 1549.
Give me the exit number.
Is that him and Martin again?
Yes, sir.
And what is he asking the dispatcher for?
To run the tag, and can you get the address off of the tag?
Why is that helpful?
Because if the suspect lives near, they're possibly running to their house.
Doesn't that assume that the owner of that car is the one driving the car?
Yes, sir.
And at this point, did any officer out there know who was driving that car?
No, sir.
Moving on, 1603.
Well, southbound on Rock.
Whose voice is that?
Sounds to be Officer Mills.
And what's he saying? What's he communicating?
That he has located the suspect southbound on Ross, and then he said we're at Ross. Like, what was the other street? No one able to hear that.
I would suggest you use Ross and Cascade, but the question I want to ask you is, you know Mills' voice pretty well, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Is he pretty quiet, pretty calm, pretty laid back?
Yes, sir.
Did he sound pretty calm, laid back in that radio call?
No, sir.
What's it sound like to you, knowing Mills and the way he talked?
that he is running after somebody and needs other cars with him now.
All right, playing at 1632. What was that?
The dispatcher just repeating the address of Ross and Castlegate.
Is that for who to act upon?
Any officer that has a radio tuned into that frequency.
For which precinct?
Ridgeway Station.
And Ridgeway Station, is that a large precinct with several cars, several officers, what?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Moving on, 1647. Do you know what that was?
I couldn't hear all of it.
Who was speaking?
It was the dispatcher.
Did you hear an address?
All I heard was Castlegate.
Would it help if I rewind it 10 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear about it that time?
Yes, sir.
There's an address on Cascade, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that the dispatch responding to the earlier call on running that tag?
Yes, sir.
You're sure of that?
Yes, sir.
Hitting play at 1654. Whose voice was that?
Sounds like Officer Justin Smith.
How would you describe Justin Smith's voice in that radio
He probably
call?
gonna get the least amount of time.
Just distressed and currently fighting with somebody.
Cause he was the only one that
What
rendered
is he
aid.
asking for?
He needs more cars with him now.
He needs assistance.
Yes, sir.
Hitting play at 1712. That's at 1720-ish. That's the dispatcher speaking. And what is she telling officers in the Ridgeway precinct?
Is there anyone available to assist with officers with a suspect that's resistant and running?
Playing at 1724. By the way, you mentioned earlier that if you're not really in the middle of anything, really doing a whole lot, you should go back on that call from dispatch to the entire precinct. What are the officers being ordered to do?
To head to that location if you're not stuck on anything.
I don't want to take issue with stuck on anything. What do you mean by stuck on anything?
You're not stuck waiting on a tow truck to tow a car that broke down in the middle of the road. You're not still on a traffic stop trying to issue a ticket for speeding. If you're sitting in a parking lot waiting for a call, you need to head to this location now.
Well, I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you. You're a Memphis police officer. If dispatcher says all cars pull over to 6547 Castlegate, you're saying that if you happen to be waiting on a tow truck, you can keep waiting on the tow truck, or do you need to go give officer assistance?
Memphis PD would rather you wait for the tow truck because other officers would pick up the slack.
Moving forward at 1727. Who was that?
I wasn't able to hear.
That's all right, we'll move on. You probably couldn't make that out because I couldn't, right?
No, sir.
Moving on. Whose voice was that?
Sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
Wasn't quite as clear as before, was it?
No, sir.
Sounded like he's actively engaged in something?
Yes, sir.
What's he doing?
He's still fighting with the suspect.
And sometimes, even though somebody makes a radio call out, you hear background noise. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did you hear background noise on that call, or you want to hear it again?
Can I hear it again?
Sure. You actually heard two voices, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Was that the background noise I was talking about?
Yes, sir.
Could you make it out what the other person, the mystery person, was saying?
No, sir.
Hitting at 1825. How about that? Could you hear that a little bit better in the background?
Yes, sir.
What did the person say in the background?
Okay, give me your hands.
What did he say?
Can I hear it one more time?
Sure.
But that's what he heard.
Okay, give me your motherfucking hands.
Oh,
So the call is Justin's voice going out, but you hear someone in the background saying, give me your motherfucking hands.
Yes, sir.
Do you have any idea whose voice that was?
It sounds like Officer Martin.
I see why he pled guilty.
That's dispatch calling for Justin.
Yes, sir.
Is because she wants to know his exact location.
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 1851.
Smith, Bean, Haley.
Whose voice was that?
I wasn't able to tell by that voice.
You want to try again or not? Move on.
We can try one more.
All right. Whose voice was that?
That was Officer Haley.
He's 2935.
Yes, sir.
Moving on at 1931. Whose voice was that?
Sounds like Officer Mills.
How's he sound?
Out of breath.
Moving on at 1936. That was Mills again, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Moving on. Whose voice was that?
It sounded like Officer Justin Smith.
I'll play it again, see if you can hear anybody else in the background. Who's that?
That's Officer Smith still.
Did you happen to hear what the intersection was that Justin Smith put out on the radio?
It sounded like Ross and Castlegate.
Oh. Okay. Well, maybe the jury did. Moving on at 2004. By the way, regardless of what he said, Did it sound like he had his composure?
No, sir.
How long have you known Justice Smith?
About 3 months.
Would you describe him as a composed person?
Yes, sir.
Moving on, at 20:04.
Well, now, my son, he plays alligator.
Who is that?
Lieutenant Smith.
And was he confused, or could it be that Justin put out the wrong street name?
He sounded like he was confused how the dispatch was saying the street name.
Moving on, at 20:26. Whose voice was that?
Officer Mills.
Dispatch had actually called for Justin 2931 saying, give us your location again, and Mills answered. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Is that common?
Yes, sir.
If somebody's busy doing something important, another officer standing there can make a response. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
And that's what happened there.
Yes, sir.
Mills responded, hitting play at 2041. All right, first of all, whose voice was that?
Officer Haley.
That's 2935.
Yes, sir.
And what was he telling dispatcher?
Telling the dispatcher to go ahead and start the fire department because the suspect was pepper sprayed, tased, and everything.
By the way, you were back at Ross and Raines during these transmissions, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Were you listening to them?
Yes, sir.
And when you heard that transmission, did you draw any conclusions whether or not the suspect was in custody yet?
Normally when he called the fire department, it's the suspect's in custody.
Custody is defined as what, sir?
At least having the handcuffs on him.
Handcuffs and anything else?
Under control.
How about searched?
Search. Yes, sir.
By the way, at Ross and Raines Road, did anybody search Tyre Nichols?
No, sir.
Moving on at 2125. I couldn't make that out, could you?
Yes, sir.
What was it?
It was off.
I don't have to
Ooh, that
deal
was
with a lot of
intense.
things
Please
that,
hit the like
as a
button.
homeowner, you have to deal with.
Okay, so we can't say dispatch didn't know about all this, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
And if I remember from your body cam yesterday, when engine 55 rolls up, which I think we're about to hear, when engine 55 rolls up, what do you tell the paramedics that get off the fire truck?
That the suspect was pepper sprayed and tased.
And did you mention to the paramedics that you had been fighting with the suspect?
Yes, sir.
So at least at this juncture, everybody in the world, everybody on this radio frequency, MFD, everybody knows there's been a fight, there's tasing, spraying, fleeing. Is that a fair statement?
Yes, sir.
2134. And what was dispatch telling the officers right there?
She was telling 2935 that the fire department was already en route.
We're at 2140, hitting play. I didn't recognize it. You
No, sir.
go ahead on the plane.
you just 55 to play the team over here with me. If you're able to bring suspect up here.
Okay, my math is right. About 15 seconds went by from the time Haley said, pepper spray, tase, and everything, to you calling saying paramedics are on the scene with you at Raines and Ross. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, what I thought you were going to do?
Ah, so who's 2932?
2932. I don't remember
Did you hear what 2932 said?
that they have him in custody.
Which is a little bit later than what we heard earlier, right?
Yes, sir.
We were at 2214 when the last police officer made that call. Moving forward.
Does the fire department need to come down to you, or are you bringing them back down here? Come down here, bring them down here.
All right. A little bit unusual to use a person's name on the radio. Is that right?
No, sir.
Deal. Whose voice was that speaking to you?
Justin Smith.
And what was he telling you?
He was just telling me that the fire department needs to come to them.
He'd already told you once, right?
No, sir. That was the only one that I can recall when he answered.
Oh, but does Justin sound to you, based on your knowledge of his voice inflection, be a little bit put out?
Yes, sir.
He says, Enfield just sitting down there. Just sitting down here to us. Is that what he said?
Yes, sir.
And did you follow that direction?
Yes, sir.
And by the way, what rank, not title, but what rank did you have at the Memphis Police Department?
Just regular officer.
Okay. And how's that work? Patrolman 1, Patrolman 2, how's that work?
So you have patrolman probation, then you have regular patrolman, and at the time it was sergeant, lieutenant, and on up.
We'll stop at sergeant. Okay, so it's probationary, or whatever you call it, patrolman, and then sergeant. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Justin Smith's rank at the time of this incident was what? Same as you?
Yes, sir.
Patrolman.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're in that way now.
All right. That was you?
Yes, sir.
Saying what?
That I'm sending the fire department that way now.
You have testified in numerous environments, FBI, Department of Justice, State of Tennessee, District Attorney's Office. You have given your statements, and some of those statements have been sworn to. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And let's just look at the sworn statements, sworn testimony that you've given. You were asked, and I'm asking you today, are you familiar with Justin Smith's reputation there at organized crime?
Not too familiar since I only knew him 3 months.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Do you recall your sworn testimony when asked to describe Justin Smith's reputation and your opinion of him?
Very caring, laid back, and understanding.
And does kind and gentle ring a bell for you in front of the grand jury stating that about Justin Smith?
Yes, sir.
Was that your testimony?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
It's very similar to what you just said. I just wanted to make sure you did, in fact, testify that way about Justin Smith.
Yes, sir.
What do you mean by kind and gentle? And did you say compassionate as well? What did you say?
Understanding.
Understand. Yeah. Describe for the jury what you mean by kind, gentle, and understanding.
Anytime I had a question or anything, I would always ask him. He wouldn't ask questions. He would just help me out at the best of his abilities. There was
He
a
gonna
time
get the
where
less time.
I was probably going to be sent off of the team because I wasn't producing stats. So he told me ride with him in his car for a couple of days so he can help me get on
He,
track to
Smith
what the
is the one
Scorpion
that's
team
gonna
needs to do.
receive the less time.
He also gave you some advice about what officers to stay away from too, didn't he?
Yes, sir.
Oh, oh wow.
Did you follow his advice?
Yes, sir.
May I have a moment with my client? John,
Oh, that's interesting. Are they gonna say the names? Ah,
John, I'll pass the witness. All right. Very next. You need to use it? No.
oh, he didn't want the, Smith didn't want the names. He didn't want him to ask the names.
Good morning.
My name is John Perry. I'm here on behalf of Jadarius Bean. I think, other than you, Mr. Bean would have been the newest member of the Scorpion unit back when you were on the Scorpion unit, right?
Yes, sir. If I recall, he was only there a little bit longer than me.
Like about a month longer,
Yeah.
fair. And Mr. Zumach asked you a series of questions, so I'm not going to go through all of that. I'll probably be up here about 5 minutes, but Mr. Zumach asked you before he sat down questions about how many different times you've talked, testified, etc. You've been pretty consistent, right?
Yes, sir.
The young's been precisely consistent from day one about what happened, about your people on the team, right?
Yes, sir.
And part of that consistency, the questions weren't always as pleasant and laid out as Mr. Martin Zumach just asked you, right?
Right. Yes, sir.
And you've had an opportunity to talk with members of the DA's offices, right?
Yes, sir.
And those communications were recorded, right?
Yes, sir.
Those communications were pretty pleasant, and they just talked to you, asked questions, right?
Yes, sir.
There was no kind of browbeating, I'll call it, was there?
Not too much. No, sir.
Now, it's a little bit different when you're across the street, right?
Yes, sir.
A little bit different when you're talking to the DOJ, right?
Yes, sir.
They try to, in particular, get you to change stories sometimes, right?
Yes, sir.
They use that same word, they browbeat you, right?
Yes, sir.
There was recorded transcript, 8 pages, where they tried to get you to change the fact that you heard somebody's hand on a gun, right?
Yes, sir.
And you didn't change that, did you?
No, sir.
You also were asked questions during that same grand jury testimony regarding whether or not you knew Jadarius Bean, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think you characterized it, that testimony, and tell me if I'm wrong, that didn't talk much.
Right. Yes, sir.
Was he a pretty quiet guy?
Yes, sir.
And he said that he seemed like a good officer, right?
Yes, sir.
He said he was shy and just handled his business the right way.
Yes,
Is that
sir.
true? Anything about him, and you were asked specifically during the
Police
same
mob.
inquiry where I was talking about the 8 pages where they took you through the ringer about whether or not you heard a gun. You said you stuck to it. I heard it, and found out you did hear it, right?
Yes, sir.
But when you're asked those questions regarding Mr. Bean, he asked you specifically, have you ever known him to use excessive force? And did he have a reputation for using excessive force? And you remember your answer?
Yes, sir.
What was that answer?
I don't recall any excessive force or anything used by Officer Bean.
You ever heard any kind of problems regarding his character and his reputation in the MPD?
No, sir.
Mr. Perry.
Hey, Perk. Dino Entertainment. How you doing?
My old law department is going to make me have to tell a story. I said I was going to be a few minutes, but it's going to be just a few minutes longer.
All right.
Do you remember going through an
They finna
exercise
tag team.
with Memphis Police Department where they sprayed your face with pepper spray?
Yes, sir.
What happened during that? Can you kind of talk to us about what that exercise is?
So that exercise to the police academy, they spray you with your own pepper spray. And the whole point of the exercise is you got to work through it. You can't just give up. So during that, they ask you a series of questions like what's your license plate number, how long have you been in Memphis. After that, you have to believe it was, you had a training dummy laying on the ground. You have to try to handcuff them while you're still fighting pepper spray. And then there's also another training dummy where you have to do a few strikes to them to also, you still got to keep working through this pepper spray.
You were asked a couple times about pepper spray and how strong. Now, on that night, back January 7, 2023, when you're making the stop, you had been driving, correct?
Yes, sir.
And are you at night, have you always worn glasses since you've been driving?
Yes, sir.
And on that particular night, did you have your glasses on?
Yes, sir.
And I remember you saying that you sprayed everybody, but yours hit the brow and up, right?
Yes, sir.
Did the brunt of it hit the eyeglasses during the time that he was spraying, if you remember?
If I remember, most of it hit my forehead and then it started going down.
Okay, so it wasn't directly in the eyes, in other words, right then, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, I remember on that night, you talked on with your camera some 50-odd minutes. There were two different body-worn camera settings, and you talked for a long time, but it seemed like that whole time you were what I call hockey, but you're clearing your voice, clearing your throat. Can you tell the jury why you had been clearing your throat and catching your breath during that time frame?
So the pepper spray that they used at the time, it blinded you, obviously, and it also affected your breathing and closed up your sinuses, hence, hacking up, because, you're trying to get it out of your system. And if any of it's in your nose, they also tell you in the academy, to breathe it out your nose. If there's anything in your mouth, you got to get it out.
When you get a burst of that in your eyes, is it possible to see as good as you can see right now?
No, sir.
Oh,
Matter of fact, but for a few feet in front of you, can you see anything?
No, sir.
And on that particular night, do you remember that intersection?
Yes, sir.
Was there anybody out there stopping traffic and saying, hey, y'all stop, we got to run across these 4 lanes of traffic?
No, sir, not that I remember.
And we running out there in the dark, basically, after having some pepper spray in your eyes?
Yes, sir.
All right. And was a pretty difficult experience.
Yes, sir.
Now, at the academy, you have to get it directly in your eyes, right?
Yes, sir.
All right.
can y'all please hit the like button? Take some time to hit the like button, please. Thank you. Holly Drew.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Oh, I know they hate the day that they thought that was a good idea. Never thought the law would come back and bite them. Mm-mm. Are they standing? What's going on? No. They have it muted, y'all, not me.
Just take a brief recess, get that queued up.
Court stands recess.
Everyone went outside.
Yeah, stand here.
One second.
They still at recess? Let me check another device. Can y'all take the time to hit the like button while we at recess? I wonder if they finesse too. Oh, there they go. They coming in, y'all. Every last one of them failed. Tyre Nichols and the system. And God. Oh, Lord, they failed the Lord. I guess that goes with that old saying, take the Lord along with you everywhere you go. Keep your mind stayed on Him, even at work. Praying for Tyre Nichols' family. I know that's a hard recovery. Oh, thank you, Cane Life. I'm just not seeing it. Thank you. Hey, plus size baddie. I'm okay. I got my feet propped up. Well, my foot. We got
In other news, Missouri residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new website where any Missouri
they come in and laugh. I'm gonna have to cover another child's stabbing. I'm gonna do a little research on it. I don't know what's going on in Texas. Killeen, Bell County again, like that. Casey, Allison. Memory serves me correctly. That's Bell County too. But I'm gonna have to do some research. Ask this Lord to protect the kids. Know what's going on in the mind. I remember talking about the renewing of the mind. Got to change our mindset in order for us to change our ways. Yeah, you too. You as well. Trying to get some. Are you gonna talk to us, sir? Oh yeah, he's silent on all channels. Okay. We waiting on them to come back. A Wisconsin judge arrested by the FBI. Lord. Let's hear this. Bruce Rivers is criminal lawyer.
Content genius. God rest his soul. Today we're reacting to, now there's no sex in this video, so you can feel free to have your children watch this one, okay? And I'll try to keep the swearing down to a minimum. All right.
We waiting on them to
Stuff going with the
return.
federal government that's a little bit on the scary side. According to the Department of Justice, ex-judge Donna Anna County charged with evidence tampering and a Milwaukee County Circuit Court judge charged with unlawful
Evidence
obstruction and
tampering.
The Justice Department just the other day announced federal criminal charges in 2 separate cases involving alleged obstruction of federal law enforcement operations and unlawful concealment of individuals residing illegally in the United States. So somebody can be illegal here in the United States or undocumented and be facing legal proceedings. And so a judge may say, okay, we're going to release you on bond, but we want you to come back to court. And you know what? Most people want to come back to court. Why do people come to this country illegally? This is going to be another one of these issues where we're going to have the Trumpster divers just kind of say, oh, you're just a piece of shit. You hate white people. And they're going to have, then you have the other side, hey, who's documented? Who's illegal? Nobody says that, come on. All right, fucking calm down. Why do people come to this country anyway? Because most of them, and I've seen quite a few of them, are fleeing violence, fleeing poverty. I mean, come to this. Not everybody who comes into this country is a criminal. Okay. In fact, the proportion, I think the studies show that the proportion of people coming to this country illegally that are criminals, although one could argue anybody that enters illegal is a criminal because they're. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about rapists. We're talking about murderers. I'm sure some of them are fine people.
Stay back.
So Bad Bob is a training exercise that they do at the police academy. Like I said, they pepper spray you, and it's drills that you have to do so that you already know how strong pepper spray is, if it gets in your eyes, and how to work through it.
And what did they ask you to do after being sprayed when you do the Bad Bob exercise? Talk me through.
Yes. So after they spray you, they first tell you, because when they spray you, your eyes are closed. And they tell you, well, we want you to take a couple blinks so that way it gets into your eyes. And, they can tell when it hits. They then ask like a series of questions like your license plate number, where are you at right now, how long have you been living in Memphis, and then after you answer a series of questions, they then tell you to go, I believe it was, do a couple strikes to a dummy, so that way you're fighting with the dummy while you're still blinded with pepper spray. After you do a good couple strikes, they tell you to move on to the next station, which is a training dummy laying on the ground, and it's handcuffing the dummy also while you're blind.
Is it difficult to handcuff that dummy while you're blind?
Yes, sir.
And is it difficult as far as finding where Bad Bob is while you're blind?
Yes, sir.
And it is, according to what you said during that evening, that is pretty much similar to what you went through in actual real life that evening. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Was that a typical type of evening where you had pepper spray in your eye and had to run across 4 lanes of traffic?
No, sir.
And was that one of the most difficult interactions that you had while you were with the Memphis Police Department?
It was one of them, yes, sir.
And that was, and as you indicated, it put you all the way back in your frame of mind to being in the academy, having to deal with Bad Bob.
Yes, sir.
That's what it's shocking.
I'm not gonna be too long, okay?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Like you said, I think you've talked to a lot of people.
Yes, sir.
I think me and you talked once. Is that right?
We spoke several times. Yes, sir.
Once
Yes, sir. Something like that.
and you testified in a federal grand jury once. Is that correct?
I believe so. Yes, sir.
I want to go back to the start. Like I said, I'm not trying to be long.
Y'all please hit the like button.
start. Okay? And it made sense to me because often as police officers, it would make sense for you to say we. I mean, right?
Yes, sir.
I mean, and, that's just how we do it. If you're going to write an affidavit or complaint about what somebody did, you would say the person would observe X, Y, and Z, but it may have been other police officers that observed X, Y, and Z.
Yes, sir.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That is how it's supposed to work, right?
Yes, sir.
And so it's not uncommon for you to say we and stuff like that. I want to, though, separate, what you actually saw versus, the we. Okay?
All right.
All right, so we're on that night, and you said we saw Tyre Nichols speeding, but I want to take that apart, okay? Who is it that saw something?
Officer Martin.
Okay. And you've been asked a question before whether or not you actually saw Tyre Nichols speeding. Your answer was no, that it was Officer Martin that said he saw Tyre Nichols speeding. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You were asked previously, so what did you actually see Tyre Nichols do? And your answer was that he changed lanes without signaling.
Yes, sir.
After the blue light,
Once or twice. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And that is a traffic.
not before.
Yes, sir.
Now, did you see, how do you know that when Martin said, I see him speak, is that on the radio or something?
Yes, sir.
So you hear Officer Martin say on the radio, I see a car speeding or whatever.
Yes, sir.
Did you see at that point Officer Martin activate his blue lights?
A couple blocks up. Yes, sir.
Couple blocks up.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this car is ahead of y'all,
Yes, sir.
and at this point is Martin ahead of you,
Yes, sir.
and you're further back.
Martin is ahead of me. I'm in the middle, and Haley's behind me.
And you haven't seen this car speeding,
No, sir.
but you've heard Martin say that.
Yes, sir.
You travel some more blocks.
Yes, sir.
I don't know if you said a couple or a few, whichever one, a couple or a few. And Martin activates his blue lights.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't keep his blue lights on, though, does he?
No, sir.
He flips them on pretty quickly.
Yes, sir.
And he continues to travel.
Yes, sir.
For just a little bit, right?
Yes, sir.
And then he flips them on.
Yes, sir.
And then the cars continue to travel.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we watched a video before of, as Mr. Zimmer said, a videographer that did the round. Okay? But it's not like him and Martin has blue lights on the whole time during this route, right?
All right. Yes, sir.
Blue light click on. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but presumably the car that was speeding didn't stop.
All right. Yes,
Right?
sir.
I mean, even if you couldn't see it, it's pretty obvious it didn't stop, right?
Yes, sir.
So flick on the blue lights, that car doesn't stop. Click off blue lights.
Yes, sir.
And then at that point, what are y'all doing?
They were following Mr. Nichols.
They were following. Now, they weren't pursuing him, are they?
No, sir.
Because it's even against the policy to pursue a
Just-
car for that offense, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so flick blue lights on, part of the top, flick them off, and we're just gonna sort of follow the car.
Yes, sir.
That's sort of what's going on.
Yes, sir.
And while y'all are following the car, you see the car do a lane change once or twice without a turn signal.
Yes, sir.
You never see the car going on to incoming traffic, do you?
No, sir.
You never see a car hopping the curb or anything like that.
No, sir.
Y'all are just following and catching back up to it.
Yes, sir.
Y'all do catch back up to it.
Yes, sir.
And when y'all do catch back up to it, blue lights come on.
Yes, sir.
And y'all are in cars that don't look like police cars, right?
No, sir.
They're like Dodge Chargers or something.
Yes, sir.
Okay, they're not marked MPD or anything like that. They're probably black. Okay, black.
Mine was blue.
Dodge Chargers, the lights are even on the inside.
Yes, sir.
So it's just that those panels sort of light things.
And I believe it had lights inside the grill on the front of the car.
Y'all catch back up to the car, the blue light's back on.
Yes, sir.
Catch back up to the car's actually stopped, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And it stopped in the left-hand turn lane
Yes, sir.
with the left-hand turn signal on.
I don't recall the turn signal on.
Left-hand turn on. Right,
Yes, sir.
stop.
Yes, sir.
And this is the point where the traffic stop, the actual what we watched, begins, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And you've been asked about this traffic stop a bunch,
Yes, sir.
fair to say, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you ever see, you've been asked these questions before, did you ever see Tyre Nichols take a swing at anybody during this traffic stop?
No, sir.
No, sir. Did you ever see him punch somebody during this traffic stop?
No, sir.
Did you ever see him kick anybody during this traffic stop?
No, sir.
Did he ever cuss at y'all during the traffic stop?
No, sir.
Did he ever spit at y'all during the traffic stop?
No, sir. Not that I know of.
Did he ever
He was just trying to get home.
No, sir. Not that I know of.
In fact, you actually described what he did as politely resisting.
Yes, sir.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And you've been previously asked, well, what did y'all do, right?
Yes, sir.
You get out of the car with your gun drawn, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
But then you put it up,
Yes, sir.
is that correct? At some point during this conversation, you pressed the taser up to his leg or something.
Yes, sir.
At that point, the electricity is not on the taser.
Correct.
I'm not trying to say you taser.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, you just have the taser press up to him.
Yes, sir.
You say something to the akin to, I'm going to tase your ass or something like that.
Yes, sir.
Who says, I'm going to break your shit?
I believe that was Officer Haley.
All right, so tase your ass, I'm going to break your shit. He has been, thrown's not the right word. How was he taken to the ground?
I don't recall how he was taken to the ground. I just know we were on the ground.
We saw how he was taken out of the car, though.
Yes, sir.
So he's taken out of the car, would you say forcefully?
Yes, sir.
You had told an officer on the scene that he was persuaded to get out of the car.
Yes, sir.
Persuaded.
To me, it sounds like there was a negotiation,
Yeah,
and ultimately he was persuaded to get out of the car. But he wasn't persuaded to get out of the car, was he?
No, sir.
He was forcefully taken from the car.
Yes, sir.
On the ground,
Yes, sir.
he is being yelled at,
Yes, sir.
he is being threatened.
Yes, sir.
And you do have the taser weapon up to his body.
Yes, sir.
And he is also pepper sprayed.
Not yet at that point.
At some point in this.
Yes, sir.
At some point in this, he's pepper sprayed.
Yes, sir.
Before he runs away.
Yes, sir.
And that's actually, I should have told you, that's the point we're going up to, the point he runs away. Okay. You've been asked previously, well, is it possible that all that stuff, all those actions, is what made Tyre Nichols run away?
Objection, close for speculation.
He's been asked this question previously, Your Honor.
What question has been asked, or is that correct question has been asked?
In his prior testimony.
Correct testimony in another hearing.
Grab the shovel.
Sorry. Oh, then set it down. Oh, they meeting. Oh, my bad.
Yes, sir.
Threatened to break his shit, correct?
Yes, sir.
Threatened to tase his ass.
Yes, sir.
Pepper spray.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Nichols runs away.
Yes, sir.
You heard Officer Martin say something, and I'll put words, well, what did you hear Officer Martin say when Tyre was being forcibly removed from the car?
To let go of his gun.
To let go of his gun.
Yes, sir.
And to be clear, you're asking some questions. I knew that was the beginning. You didn't hear anybody grab a gun.
Correct. Correct. I
Like
just
you
heard
didn't
Mark
hear
say.
hands hitting metal or something like that.
Right. Correct.
You heard Officer Martin say,
Let go of my gun.
let go.
He never grabbed his gun.
Did you see Tyre Nichols grab for his gun?
No, sir.
You just heard Martin say that.
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether or not Tyre Nichols actually grabbed for his gun?
No, sir.
Did you in fact speak with Officer Martin after this incident?
Yes, sir.
Oh, wow.
Did that cause you more doubt as to whether or not Tyre Nichols actually grabbed for his gun?
Yep.
No, sir. I was just asking Martin if I heard what I thought I heard.
Was reference made that it could have been something just tugging on his belt?
Later on, Martin did say that.
Which is entirely different, right?
Yes, sir.
And it was hearing that as to why Tyre was thrown on the ground.
Yes, sir.
And how this all went so forcefully, and it was forceful,
Yes, sir.
so quick.
Yes, sir.
With an individual who testified before wasn't even fighting y'all. Correct?
Yes, sir.
You described him as resisting, to be fair, correct?
Yes, sir.
You described it as polite resistance, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you were very clear that you would not consider that fight.
Right. Yes, sir.
Yeah, he was threatened.
He would not consider
Yeah,
that.
he was pepper sprayed.
What?
And as he
Oh, wow.
ran off, you took the station.
Hey, Cynthia.
Yes, sir.
Now, you never went from there to the scene of the criminal activity, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
However, when we watched the body cam video, we heard you tell somebody, I hope they stomp his ass.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Correct that comment.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
If we watch more video later,
Wow.
we see another comment about Tyre's face and how he looks after this happens. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
You regret that comment too.
Yes, sir.
But would you acknowledge that I hope they stomp his ass? There's something to that.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever heard in this police department of the term or the phrase or the concept of, some sort of street tax or some sort of street justice for somebody that runs for the police?
Not just for Memphis police. Yes, sir.
More general, yeah, not just.
Just police in general.
You grew up wanting to be a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've heard this before,
Yes, sir.
correct? You've described, or have you described before, have you heard it, especially from older officers?
Yes, sir.
I think you told me maybe I think you may say that officers that don't even want to get out of cars anymore.
Right, yes,
That
sir.
old school, you hear them talking about the street tax.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, a street tax. Is he,
Nowadays, it's not talked about in terms of street
is he saying
tax.
a street tax?
Is there talk among the officers, though, that if somebody runs and you get them, that is a chance to get one punch in? Say,
Let go of my gun.
let go.
Is he saying a street tax? Are they
Did you
taxing?
see Tyre Nichols grab for his gun?
Oh,
No, sir.
Lord.
You just heard Martin say that.
Yes, sir.
Do you know whether or not Tyre Nichols actually grabbed for his gun?
No, sir.
Did you in fact speak with Officer Martin after this incident?
Yes, sir.
Did that cause you more doubt as to whether or not Tyre Nichols actually grabbed for his gun?
No, sir. I was just asking Martin if I heard what I thought I heard.
Was reference made that it could have been something just tugging on his belt?
Later on, Martin did say that.
Which is entirely different, right?
Yes, sir.
Just lied. Just lied. Oh,
And it was hearing that as to why Tyre was thrown on the ground.
Yes, sir.
And how this all went so forceful, you admit it was forceful,
Yes, sir.
so quick,
Yes, sir.
with an individual who testified before wasn't even fighting y'all. Correct?
Yes, sir.
You described him as resisting, to be fair, correct?
Yes, sir.
You described it as polite resistance, correct?
Yes, sir.
But you were very clear that you would not consider that a fight.
All right. Yes, sir.
Yet he was threatened, yet he was pepper spraying. And as he ran off, you attempted to save him, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, you never went from there to the scene of the criminal activity, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
However, when we watched the body cam video, we heard you tell somebody, I hope they stomp his ass.
Yes, sir.
Correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you regret that comment?
Yes, sir.
If we watch more video later, we see another comment about Tyre's face and how he looks after this happens. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Do you regret that comment too?
Yes, sir.
But would you acknowledge that I hope they stomp his ass? There's something to that.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever heard in this police department of the term or the phrase or the concept of, some sort of street tax or some sort of street justice for somebody that runs for the police?
Not just for Memphis police. Yes, sir.
More general, yeah, not just.
Just police in general.
You grew up wanting to be a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you've heard this before,
Yes, sir.
correct? You've described, or have you described before, have you heard it, especially from older officers?
Yes, sir.
I think you told me, I think you made a statement, officers that don't even want to get out of cars anymore.
Right. Yes, sir.
That old school, you hear them talking about the street tax.
Yes, sir.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Nowadays, it's not talked about in terms of street tax, is it?
No, sir.
Is there talk among the officers, though, that if somebody runs and you get them, that is a chance to get one punch in?
Possibly. Yes, sir.
Do you want to try to get in more than one punch?
No, sir.
Why not?
Because then it's too much.
one punch is justice for running.
No, sir.
Well, what is it?
Just putting handcuffs on them,
Just putting handcuffs on.
getting them under control. Yes, sir.
Well, prior you've been asked if somebody runs, correct?
Yes, sir.
That is common for officers or not common? And sometimes officers try to get a little, and if it's your word, street justice.
Yes, sir.
And you have acknowledged that one punch may be, I don't want to say acceptable, but let's say acceptable.
Possibly. Yes, sir.
For more than one punch, unacceptable.
Yes, sir.
And I think even we talked, a punch can also be called pieces, right? A piece.
Yes, sir.
So one piece, a lot of pieces though, problem.
Right. Yes, sir.
Ultimately, you watched that Sky Cop video, didn't you?
Yes, sir.
Is that the stomping that you were hoping for?
No, sir.
Is that beyond anything?
Sorry, can you repeat
Is
that?
that beyond anything that you were hoping for?
Yes, sir.
That's all, Judge.
Hi, Wayne.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You talked, Mr. Hackman just asked you about Officer Martin seeing the blue Nissan Sentra speeding, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you relied on that to initiate the stop, or participate in initiating the stop, correct?
Yes, sir.
Even though you hadn't seen speeding at that point.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Am I correct that you did see traffic violations by that blue Nissan Sentra?
Yes, sir.
No, Mr. Interrupter, this is his witness, this is leading.
Thank you. What traffic violations did you see the blue Nissan Sentra engage in on the riverbank?
Fleeing from the police and multiple lane changes without a blinker.
And did you see traffic violations by the Sentra on Rains after the turn?
No, sir.
You were asked by Mr. Zumak about your speed and looking at your speedometer while watching the video yesterday. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And do you recall what speed you reached on the Rains?
About 60 miles an hour.
And your body-worn camera showed Garmin that you had in windshield, correct?
Yes, sir.
What does the Garmin, what does it show when you're exceeding the speed limit?
It turns bright red in the bottom left corner.
Now, did you see Demetrius Haley used soft, empty hands control as part of that stop?
Yes, sir.
When?
When he pulled Mr. Nichols out of the car.
And
did you hear Emmett Martin say, I felt somebody tug on my belt during the traffic stop?
Later on, yes, sir.
During the traffic stop, what did you hear Martin say?
Let go of my gun.
And you reacted to that?
Yes, sir.
At the traffic stop, did he ever say anything about tugging on his belt?
No, sir.
And it's what was said during the stop that was important, correct?
Yes, sir.
You had to, you're trained to assess the threat at the time, correct?
Yes, sir.
Again, Judge, I think, this is witness and this is legal.
Great questions.
Don't have any further questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Zuma, yeah, I don't have anything. Mr. Barry?
You asked a few moments ago about you growing up wanting to be a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
And yet, family members high up in the police department, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you end up reaching that goal as a police officer, right?
Yes, sir.
And you know the term street taxes Mr. Hagerman had asked 3 months ago.
Yes, sir.
And you also were asked questions about having talked across the street at the federal building, right?
Yes, sir.
And when you talked across the street at the federal building, now you said, he asked you something about testifying one time in front of the grand jury, right?
Yes, sir.
But you actually met over there a number of times, am I correct?
Yes, sir.
And you were asked times and again about Mr. Bean as it relates to street tax, as well as everybody else on that was part of the court meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
And am I correct in your statement that you never heard Mr. Bean refer to a street tax?
Right. Yes, sir.
And you never heard Mr. Bean administering a street tax to anybody, right?
Yes, sir.
And in fact, you were asked questions about seeing videos. And you saw videos eventually over at 302, and gave a statement, I guess called a 302, right? You know what a 302 is? You don't, you don't.
No, sir.
All right. You did give statements to the feds, to the federal, I guess to the Department of Justice and members of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Do you remember that?
Yes, sir.
And you might not, and if you haven't seen them, don't worry about it, but did you ever see a typed up form of the statements that you gave?
Not that I recall.
All right. Do you remember that you were eventually shown videos regarding the incident?
Yes, sir.
Now, when you were first asked questions, you weren't shown any videos, right?
Not that I remember. No, sir.
Right, but when they did show you videos, you said to yourself that it looked like Mr. Bing was just trying to get him into handcuffs, right?
Yes, sir.
And you, according to what you said at that time, said that it didn't seem like he's doing anything wrong when you're looking at the video, correct?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Anything else, Mr. Steve?
Yeah, I don't know what points in the videos we're talking about. He wasn't doing anything wrong. I'm talking about the point of the video when either Mr. Smith or pressing Mr. Nichols down and Mr. Martin soccer kicks Tyre in.
They weren't talking about Mr. Martin.
Okay. So they were just asking about the movements of Mr.
I was talking about Mr. Perry was only asking about Mr. Bean.
Soccer kicks were wrong.
Yes, sir.
All those hits to the face were wrong.
Yes, sir.
Those kicks after people laying on the ground wrong.
Yes, sir.
Anything else from this witness?
Okay.
Oh, yeah. All right, so we'll draw the weapons and have where you can step down. attorney's approval.
Ooh wee. Ooh wee. Ooh, what y'all think? Ooh wee, man. Why did it have to go like that? Oh my God.
And they can proceed now.
Make sure y'all stay hydrated.
Getting a door unlocked. All right, Mr. Witness, who is going to be your next witness?
Get your good alkaline water.
Jordan Riley. Sir, these officers swear affirm testimony given today will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, sir. Just gonna need to spit out your guns.
Spit that gum out your mouth. Y'all please hit the like button.
Good morning. Would you state and spell your first and last name for the record, please?
This is Jordan, Jordan, Riley, Riley.
Mr. Riley, have you ever been the victim of a theft?
Yes.
You would tell the jury when and what happened.
About almost, well, not quite 3 years ago, around October. It would have been right around Halloween, actually the night after Halloween. I, of course, was at the house that I was living in at that time. We had some friends over for, of course, a Halloween party. Everybody left. The next day, one of the friends that was there lived down the road, drove by the house and called and said, hey, there's glass all around your car. Of course, at that point, I go outside and I look at it, and of course, my window had been busted out and a car had been ran through. So,
Halloween of what year?
Would have been 22.
And what was stolen from your car?
Of course, my wallet, which of course had money in it, some debit cards, and some old IDs and stuff like that I didn't really use anymore.
Hey, clarinet.
And of course,
A little
I did
bit.
have an everyday carry, as I do have my my concealed carry license, and it was a Ruger LCP Max.
I'm gonna approach past Exhibit 29 to the witness and ask you to flip through those pictures, Mr. Riley.
Yes, sir.
Do you recognize anything in those pictures?
Yes.
What do you reckon? Well, does any of that depict things that were stolen from your car that night?
Yeah, the last one.
And what is that?
That would be my high school student ID card.
And for what high school is it?
Paducah Tillman.
Is that what you're talking about was stolen from your car Halloween night of 2022?
Yes, sir.
How do you know Tyre Nichols?
I have no knowledge of him or any association to him.
Did Tyre Nichols have your permission to have any of your property at any point?
No, I've never met him.
I don't have any further questions for this witness.
Mr. Zuma.
You know what the best part about using the Stopbox Pro is that it's so easy to get into. You don't have to worry.
Photo ID, is this one of the first times you ever seen that photo ID since the night it was stolen?
That's the last time I've seen it, like as far as, it being in possession of somewhere.
And you did do a police report, I don't know if you covered that. Did you do a police report on this break-in?
Yes, I did.
And were those items listed in the police report that you were missing?
That was included in the wallet that I told that was stolen.
Have you made contact about law enforcement or family members of anyone at all to say, hey, we have your photo ID?
No.
That's all I have.
I mean, what is that proving? He keeps asking that, but they don't have anything to do with. Oh, he wants to say the victim deserved to be brutally beaten.
You aware that he was arrested, prosecuted, and pled guilty to a series of car break-ins on that Halloween night in that neighborhood?
I do not. I never got any update on
That name
it.
doesn't mean anything to you?
No, sir.
You have no idea how your ID ended up in Tyre Nichols' car?
None at all.
Enforcement or family members of anyone at all to say, hey, we have your photo ID?
No.
That's all I have.
It's very certain.
Do you know the name Keyshawn Ayers?
Who?
Keyshawn Ayers.
No.
You aware that he was arrested, prosecuted, and pled guilty to a series of car break-ins on that Halloween night in that neighborhood?
I do not. I never got any update on
That name
it.
doesn't mean anything to you?
No, sir.
You have no idea how your ID ended up in Tyre Nichols as well?
None at all. I
He's Sean
went to
Ayers.
sleep that night after, of course, hanging out with some friends, and then woke up the next morning, had to file a police report and everything, and then had to be at work the next hour. So,
And now years later, you find out somehow that car ended up in Tyre Nichols' car.
yeah, just finding out about all this.
Thanks, sir.
Yes, sir.
That's it.
All right, anything else of this witness?
No.
All right, so those are all the questions you have for you, sir. You can step down. Free to go. Thank you.
And for the record, just for the record, child, that's Keyshawn Ayers, man charged with the string of car break-in, East Shelby County. He had 44 incidents.
May I proceed? This is Officer Greg Turner. All right. So you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Yes, sir. All right, please have a seat. Sit down, please. Mr. Turner, will you please state your first and last name and spell it for the record?
Yes, first name is Gregory, last name Turner, Gregory.
Y'all please hit the like button.
And are you currently employed with the Memphis Police Department?
Yes, sir, I am.
And what precinct are you in?
I'm at Range Precinct,
And how long have you been with the Memphis Police Department?
14 years.
And during those 14 years, have you come into contact with Darius Bean?
Yes.
How did you come into contact with Darius Bean?
How's Shackleton?
Primary FTO,
And can you tell this jury what an FTO is?
field training officer.
And how does the FTO program work?
When he comes out the academy, he gets assigned to FTO, which I was assigned him. It works in phases. We have 4 phases. He comes to me first phase, 30 days. Go to another FTO in the second and third phase for 30 days each. And then he'll come back to me for the 4th phase until you finish up his remaining days.
And during that time frame, after being an FTO, let me step back. You said you were his FTO for 2 of those 4 phases.
Yes, sir.
And so you were the first phase and then the last phase.
Yes, sir. 4th phase.
And after the 2 terms as FTO, did you still work in the same precinct with Mr. Bean?
Yes, sir.
And this would have been around the year 2020 to 2022.
Yes, around that time. I can't say what time. I think like 20, 21, 22, somewhere around there.
And from your memory, do you remember Mr. Bean going from your precinct to the Scorpion unit?
I remember it, yes. I remember he told me he was joining that unit over there.
And to your understanding, was that an application process, or can you get picked for that unit?
You get picked off the merit of your work, what kind of work activity you have, good work effort and stuff. So.
And so both as your field training officer time frame and during that 2-year period, y'all were still working out of the same precinct?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Can you tell this jury about the officer you know as Tyre Nichols?
Oh, Tyre is he was a humble guy, well-mannered, listen. He's probably one of my favorite trainees, as we call him. He went above and beyond. I didn't have to repeat myself twice, which I really respected in him. Superb young fellow. When I had been causing me into trouble, constantly, listened to me, listened to my guidance, and understood where I was coming from. And just overall, just a good young man during that time frame that I had.
Yeah. During the time that he would have been assigned to you, he was right out of college. Did you know that?
Yeah. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. And he had, so he would have been around 21, 22 years old.
Yeah.
Pretty young guy.
Young, yes, sir.
As a young man, did he take his job seriously and show maturity?
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. At that age, I wouldn't have thought he was 21 at that time.
In other words, was he getting himself together, or was he got together?
He was put together. He was well put together. So, yes, sir.
And is there any critiques as far as his character that you have and his reputation in that precinct and in Memphis Police Department?
His reputation was good. Good officer. That's how you come involved with that unit that he went to as being a good, proven officer on the streets.
And then you don't have any critiques of his character at all?
No, sir. No.
Back to witness, Your Honor.
Nothing. I have nothing, Your Honor.
Just briefly. Mr. Attorney, you said you worked with Mr. Bean 2 years, 90 days. Sounds about right?
I know I trained with him for, probably 60 days, maybe about 50 to 60 days. But we worked together once he finished his phases. We worked together until he turned, till he had a year on. He had a year. So that's when he became on probation. So I can't remember when he technically went to the unit, but I know shortly after he came off probation, he went there. So.
And in that time, you knew him to be, you said, a good guy.
Yeah.
But you would agree with me, good people can make bad choices, right?
Yeah.
That's all I have, Judge.
Anything else for this witness? I don't have anything further. All right, so those are all the questions we have for you, sir. You can sit down.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. And the next witness. Next, I'm going to call Taylor.
They trying, ain't they?
Sir, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Come out, see, sir. Proceed, John. Yes, sir. Mr. Taylor, will you please state and spell your full name for this court?
Keyon Taylor, K-E-V as in Victor, E-O-N, last name Taylor, T-A-Y-L-O-R.
He look like a mix between Tyler Perry and the big dude that was
I'm
on
a pastor of a church and I'm an attorney.
Boomerang.
You're licensed in the state of Mississippi.
I can't remember his name.
And do you know a person by the name of Tyre Bean?
Yes, sir, I do.
And how long have you known Mr. Bean?
I've known Mr. Bean for about 7 years.
Now, you said you're an attorney. You met Mr. Bean 7 years ago. Where did you meet Mr. Bean?
I met Mr. Bean while we were students at the University of Mississippi.
And at that time, how did you first come in contact with him?
I came into contact with him when he wanted to join a fraternity on campus. I was a chapter president of that fraternity, and he was one of the applicants, and I got to observe him and get to know him from that point.
And you said you got to observe him. Prior to being a student at the University of Mississippi, had you had any military service?
Yes, sir. I enlisted in the Mississippi Army National Guard when I was in high school, served all through undergrad and law school as well.
Are you also trained as a firefighter?
Yes, sir. I'm a certified fireman in the state of Mississippi. I joined the volunteer department when I was 15 years old, and then when I got to college, I joined the department in Lafayette County as well, and I served all through college.
And so you've been in contact with people that have to serve as a team. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
And in your experience as a firefighter, your experience in the military, your experience with your fraternity, and your observation of Mr. Bean, how would you describe his character based off of your background and experience?
I would say he's humble. I'd say he's a man of integrity. I'd say he's a man of the truth. And he's a friend, I would say.
And when you describe the integrity that he has, was there a particular situation that occurred? And you said that you were your chapter's president. Did Mr. Bean ever serve while you would have been in law school as the president of that same chapter?
He did, actually. So the year after I ceased being the president of the chapter, Darius Bean became the chapter president.
And was there a situation where his character would have been tested at least?
Absolutely. We had some chapter members who took some funds out of the chapter account that they were not authorized to take in sum of over $3,000. Bean and I found out about it. Of course, I wasn't the chapter president at the time, but he let me know, and I stopped what I was doing. He stopped what he was doing. We went to the bank immediately, and we rectified that situation, and that included confronting those members that had committed that wrong and letting everybody else know what had happened.
And is there anything about his personality, character, etc., that would lead you as a member of the bar, man of the cloth, etc., from coming to this court and testifying to this jury regarding that man's character that would give you problems about doing that?
Absolutely not. As you know, as a member of the bar, as a fireman, as a military officer, and a member of the cloth, I have raised my hand and taken oaths like all the other officers of this court have done, and I take my oath seriously because I know that there's another judge that's judging on whether or not when we tell the truth or not. So absolutely not. There's nothing that gives me reprehension about being a witness on his behalf.
Good man.
Absolutely.
Pass the witness. All right.
Same enough, thank you, Ron. Stay.
Mr. Tyler, you said in that incident that you and Mr. Perry was just talking about where the money was stolen, Bean was the president at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
And the money was taken, and he notified you immediately, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You all rectified that situation immediately?
Yes, ma'am.
And you all confronted the people who did something immediately?
Yes, ma'am.
So he does know how to do all those things, right?
I would assume so.
That's all I have to do.
But he didn't that day. Yeah. That's what she's saying. In other words, he know how. But he didn't. Yeah. The good guy didn't. Okay.
Sir, you solemnly swear affirm that the testimony you give today will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God. All right, nice to see you, sir.
Swear.
Mr. McKinney, will you state and spell your full name for the court?
Bryant McKinney, Bryant, McKinney, McKinney.
Mr. McKinney, currently you work in corporate security,
Yes, sir. I'm in corporate security leadership.
and Kenny, did you go through the police academy with Mr. Tadarius Bean?
Yes, sir, I did.
Do you remember what class that was?
133rd.
And you, did you know Mr. Bean prior to going through the academy?
No, sir, I did not.
And after the academy, did you all maintain friendship?
Yes, sir, we did.
And in your experience while in the academy and subsequent to the academy, did you work with the MPD after coming out of the academy?
Yes, sir.
That's not gonna amplify your voice. The court reporter is just recording it, so you don't have to.
Okay, thank you. Good to know.
And you speak up well, just keep your voice up.
Understood.
You worked with MPD after coming out of the academy?
Yes, sir.
Were you all in the same precinct at that time?
No, sir.
And you indicated that y'all did go through the academy together. Can you describe Mr. Bean as a student in that academy?
As a student in the academy, he was always prepared, always seeking to try to help people throughout the academy when we were doing physical fitness or tests or anything like that. He always just had a mild-mannered mentality and always kept a level head to try to just help others just be the best they could.
If somebody came up and said, "Man, Bean's such a loudmouth, I can't believe it," would that shock you?
It would definitely shock me.
Is Bean pretty quiet guy?
Yes, he is.
And would you consider him a serious guy?
When serious matters arise, yes.
In a sense of humor, but he...
Right, yes. I always got a sense of humor.
Did he take his job and what you all were trying to do as law enforcement officers to be at that time, did he take that seriously?
He did. He honestly did. He felt that the job was very serious and there was a need to kind of help keep the city safe and play his part in doing so.
Now, when you came out of the academy, did you all keep in contact with each other?
Yes, sir, we did.
We're still friends to this day, right?
Yes, sir, we are.
Now, would you describe Mr. Bean as a person just kind of on his own program, or did Mr. Bean try to follow the book, a man by the book?
Definitely a man by the book.
And when you say by the book, do you have an example of how by the book Mr. Bean is?
Yes, sir, I do. When he first gave me the call that he got to OCU, it was a great time for him because he got a take-home car as well. And during that time, he was having some vehicle maintenance issues. And he called me. He was like, do you mind taking me to get something to eat? Because we stayed in close proximity. And I was like, why? You have a take-home car. He was like, well, no, we can't use take-home car if it's not work duties. And so I had to go pick him up and take him up the street, even though he had a take-home car. But he was by the book, no matter what it calls for. He didn't use his badge or anything given from the department to, for his own benefit.
So you had to you had to go to his house, run him to the burger store or whatever to get a hamburger. And he had a car outside that OCU had.
Yes, sir.
And that's how by the book he is.
Yes, sir.
Is that how he's always been since you've known him?
Yes, sir, and to this day.
Did you have any problem if you had to serve in policing the same way with him at this point, with him being an officer with you?
No, sir, I will have no problem.
Anything about his character that you have a criticism of?
No, sir, you never have to second guess him.
Now, a few months ago, I asked you about being in the academy. Did you go through an exercise in the academy called Bad Bob?
Yes, sir, I did.
What is the Bad Bob exercise?
It's an exercise where we were in the gym, if I remember correctly, and we were pepper sprayed. We were pepper sprayed, and they asked us a series of questions, some related to what is our tag number, and to give the chemical agent some time to kind of really sit in. And after that, we were asked to run down the court and grab a kind of like a dummy that weighed a certain amount of pounds and hit the dummy, if I'm not mistaken, until the dummy stopped resisting. And then we were asked to then try to handcuff the dummy.
is that a part of an exercise that you think could go into your muscle memory? In other words, if you're in a situation like that, that would help you if you are facing somebody resistant.
Yes, sir.
And if you are faced with being pepper sprayed trying to arrest a person, does that create any difficulties?
Yes, sir. It was still even difficult. They had the videos, but it was still even difficult on a dummy that wasn't moving when we were doing that training exercise.
I'm going to pull up a video and I'm going to ask you if you can identify. Yes, Young. This is Hugo. It is. It's him. All right. Thank you. Yeah, see. Can you identify for this jury who that person is?
That's myself. Yes, sir.
And is this prior to you being hit in the face with pepper spray?
At this point, I think we press play is right when they're about to spray me, if I'm not mistaken.
And go ahead, you can just watch it.
Yeah, that's when they sprayed me.
You cut the volume up. Pause it. Okay. Little pain, a lot of pain.
A lot of pain.
If you recall, are they saying anything to you this time?
Yeah, I think they started asking me questions about my tag number, driver license number. Then they kind of told me to gather myself so that I can.
You remember them telling me to go fight Bad Bob?
Yes, sir.
From Tina Fey and the creator of Saturday Night Live comes Mean Girls, the hilarious hit Broadway music.
Y'all please hit the like button. Support the platform.
You remember what you're saying during this time?
Stop resisting.
Stop resisting, stop resisting. And the next person.
Mr. Singleton, use the time.
I apologize, I didn't.
1:20.
He started to
Video
start.
started at 12.
For the record, yeah, you can say for the record.
Already. Video started at 12:22. It stopped at 13:55.
All right, thank you. Now, even today, that would have been what, about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that experience to this day?
Yes, sir.
Somebody says that, hey, will you do Bad Bob for us in front of this jury? Would that be something that you'd want to come in here and do?
Not at all.
Now, during that exercise, you're allowed to put one hand over one eye, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're also advised to close the other eye that is being sprayed into, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's somewhat different than if you have your eyes open and somebody sprays, right?
That's correct.
You think it would have been more intense had you had your eyes open and got a direct spray?
Yes, sir. And to be honest, I still tried to time it and close my other eye.
Right. And so, just as a recap, as far as Mr. Bean's character, you have no criticisms, right?
None whatsoever.
All right. And then the second phase, being pepper sprayed and being asked to stop a person that's resisting, and then subsequently, it's not captured on there, but you also have to put handcuffs on something, right?
Correct.
Is that difficult, even in a controlled environment?
Extremely.
Oh, everything.
Very briefly, Mr. McKinney, you sprayed in one eye at the academy, correct?
Correct.
And the other eye closed.
Yes, sir.
And it looked like, were you pinching your nose so you didn't inhale the pepper spray?
Yes, we were told, if I remember correctly, to kind of cover the nose area.
And they sprayed closed eyes.
Well, the eye was supposed to be open, but yes.
And then you had to blink.
Yes, blink to get it in the eye. Yes, sir.
That experiment that you did with the Memphis Police Department as part of your training, prior to them squirting you in the eye with one squirt, were things tense? Were you scared?
Yes, sir. I was scared. It felt like sand, burning sand in your eye.
Listen to my question. Before they squirted you in the eye, was your life in jeopardy? Were you scared of anything?
No, sir.
And then you get squirted, and you know you have all your friends around you, and you have your instructors around you. Did you then panic once you did get shot in the eye with the pepper spray?
I did.
That's all I have.
Is it still Officer McKinney?
No,
Along with the MPD?
No, ma'am.
Okay. When you were going through bad bomb, this was a training exercise, right?
Yes.
And it was supposed to help you all be able to withstand the effects of pepper spray, correct?
To get lifelike experience as close as possible.
Gotcha. And so, you only did bad bomb one time at the academy, is that right?
That's correct.
So you're not repeating bad bomb over and over, are you?
Correct.
And are you telling the jury that Memphis Police Department said, hey, when you get out in the streets, punch people in the head? You're not saying it, right?
That's correct. They didn't say that.
They never told you, out in the streets, kick people in the head, get that?
No, ma'am.
That's just all I have.
Briefly, just because Mr. Johnson asked those two questions. Did anybody say, hey, this is a disclaimer as it relates to bad Bob, don't fight a resistor like this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Did anybody while you're in the academy say this is not the way to actually try to stop somebody resisting? Did they say that to you?
No, sir.
As a matter of fact, did they advise or encourage you to strike bad Bob with a lot of force?
They did.
And that was during the time that they sprayed you, correct?
Correct.
And then after striking him with force, you were asked to put the handcuffs on.
Correct.
Anything else to this witness?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Well, what you said now. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you're lunch is en route back here. We're going to go ahead and excuse you all for lunch at this time. If you can please make sure you leave your notes in your chairs. Do not discuss the case. We'll call you back in as soon as we are ready for you.
Jury will be excused.
Did I hear her get loud on him? Did she get loud on him? Hold on. Let me see what she said now.
He didn't use his badge or anything given from the department to, for his own benefit.
So you had to run him, you had to go to his house, run him to the burger store or whatever to get a hamburger. And he had a car outside that OCU had.
Yes, sir.
And that's how by the book he is.
Yes, sir.
Is that how he's always been since you've known him?
Yes, sir, and to this day.
Did you have any problems if you had to serve in policing the same way with him at this point, with him being an officer with you?
No, sir, I will have no problem.
Anything about his character that you have a criticism of?
No, sir, you never have to second guess him.
Now, a few months ago, I asked you about being in the academy. Did you go through an exercise in the academy called Bad Bob?
Yes, sir, I did.
What is the Bad Bob exercise?
It's an exercise where we were in the gym, if I remember correctly, and we were pepper sprayed. We were pepper sprayed, and they asked us a series of questions, some related to what is our tag number, and
He started this stuff. For the record, yeah, you can say for the record.
Video started at 12:22. And stopped at 13:55.
All right, thank you. Now, even today, that would have been like about 4 or 5 years ago.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that experience to this day?
Yes, sir.
Somebody says that, hey, will you do Bad Bob for us in front of this jury? Would that be something that you'd want to come in here and do?
Not at all.
Now, during that exercise, you're allowed to put one hand over one eye, right?
Yes, sir.
And you're also advised to close the other eye that is being sprayed into, correct?
Yes, sir.
So that's somewhat different than if you have your eyes open and somebody sprays, right?
That's correct.
You think it would have been more intense had you had your eyes open and got a direct spray?
Yes, sir. And to be honest, I still tried to time it and close my other eye.
And so, just as a recap, as far as Mr. Bean's character, you have no criticisms, right?
None whatsoever.
All right. And then the second phase, being pepper sprayed and being asked to stop a person that's resisting, and then subsequently, it's not captured on there, but you also have to put handcuffs on something, right?
Correct.
Is that difficult, even in a controlled environment?
Extremely.
Oh, everything good.
Very briefly, Mr. McKinney, you sprayed in one eye at the head, correct?
Correct.
And the other eye closed.
Yes, sir.
And it looked like, were you pinching your nose so you didn't inhale the pepper spray?
Yes, we were told, if I remember correctly, to kind of cover the nose area.
And they sprayed a closed eye.
Well, the eye was supposed to be open, but yes.
And then you had to blink.
Yes, blink to get it in the eye. Yes, sir.
That experiment that you did with the Memphis Police Department as part of your training, prior to them squirting you in the eye with one squirt, were things tense? Were you scared?
Yes, sir. I was scared. It felt like sand, burning sand in your eye.
Listen to my question. Before they squirted you in the eye, was your life in jeopardy? Were you scared of anything?
No, sir.
And then you get squirted and you know you have all your friends around you, you have your instructors around you. Did you then panic once you did get shot in the eye with the pepper spray?
I did.
That's all I have.
Is it still Officer McKinney?
No, ma'am.
Along with the MPD?
No, ma'am.
Okay. When you were going through Bad Bob, this was a training exercise, right?
Yes.
And it was supposed to help you all be able to withstand the effects of pepper spray, correct?
To get lifelike experience as close as possible.
Gotcha. And so, you only did Bad Bob one time at the academy, is that right?
That's correct.
So you're not repeating Bad Bob over and over, are you?
Correct.
And are you telling the jury that Memphis Police Department said, hey, when you get out in the streets, punch people in the head? You're not saying it, right?
That's correct. They didn't say that.
They never told you, get out in the streets, kick people in the head, get that?
No, ma'am.
That's all I have.
Briefly, just because.
Oh, that's what she said.
Did anybody say, hey, this is a disclaimer as it relates to Bad Bob, don't fight a resistor like this?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that question?
Did anybody while you're in the academy say this is not the way to actually try to stop somebody resisting? Did they say that to you?
No, sir.
As a matter of fact, did they advise or encourage you to strike Bad Bob with a lot of force.
They did.
And that was during a time that they sprayed you, correct?
Correct.
And then after striking him with force, you were asked to put the handcuffs on.
Correct.
Anything else for this witness?
Nothing, Your Honor.
Well, what you can sit down. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, your lunch is en route, it's not here. We're going to go ahead and excuse you all for lunch at this time. If you can please make sure you leave your notes in your chairs. Please do not discuss the case. We'll call you back in as soon as we are ready for you. Jury will be excused.
Wow. What do y'all think about that? And I think we are caught up. So while we are waiting for them to come back, we can finish listening to the defense attorney, y'all. This is sad, sad, sad. Bruce. Let's hear Bruce. Y'all get the likes up. I'm going above and beyond. Get the likes up. Please. Hey, Max to the Boogie. Get the likes up.
But here's the thing.
I'm sure I don't miss a lot, Max.
Come here for opportunity. They come here to work. If we got rid of all the immigrants,
Let's
you know what
listen
happened
to
to
the
our
attorney.
unemployment rate? Americans don't want to do this. Any move, General Pam Bondi, doing so imperils the safety, and Judge Kano, and why aren't they going after
Can y'all hear this?
employers hiring illegal immigrants? You don't see any move for that. If you took that away, you wouldn't have a draw. But let's talk about these two judges. So the allegations against Judge Dugan and Judge Kano are serious. No one, this is from the Department of Justice, by the way. No one, least of all a judge, should obstruct law enforcement operations. That's an Attorney General Pam Bondi. Doing so imperils the safety of our law enforcement officers and undermines the rule of law. The Department of Justice will continue to follow the...
Y'all listen. Y'all who was in my live, T-Sippers who was in my live last night. Why I think, oh boy, come in my in my comments. Fatness, somebody in his camp responded to my comment, my videos. They don't like it. You caught up, touch. Okay.
No one is above the law. Sanctuary jurisdictions that shield criminal
and
endanger American communities. The Justice Department will not stand by as local law
getting some juice. I'm gonna turn it this way so we can get some juice.
Public safety. Reckless sanctuary city policies create a sanctuary for one class.
Him got mad at AunTeaFee.
Those days are over. Such tough fucking talk. Judge Cano is 68, and Judge Nancy Ann Cano, 68, and Jose Luis Cano,
Judge is breaking the law.
Were arrested yesterday for evidence tampering offenses
Lord.
related to federal investigation and prosecution against Christian Ortega Lopez, a Venezuelan national residing unlawfully in the United States and with alleged ties to transnational criminal organization Tre de Aragua. I love how they always say that there's some tie to a gang. And here's what the facts are. Judges, and here's another statement this is from Ryan Ellison, U.S. Attorney for the District of New Mexico. Judges are responsible for upholding our country's laws. It is beyond egregious for a former judge and his wife to engage in evidence tampering on behalf of a suspected Tre de Aragua gang member accused of illegally possessing firearms. The U.S. Attorney's Office is committed to dismantling this foreign terrorist organization by disrupting its criminal operations in New Mexico. And then according to court documents, Homeland Security Investigations initiated investigation into Ortega Lopez after receiving an anonymous tip that the individual was unlawfully present in the United States. So they're trying to pick him up, right? And that he had weapons, an AR-15, and blah, blah, blah. So that on February 28, 2025, HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, executed 2 federal search warrants in connection with the investigation, resulting in the arrest of Ortega Lopez and multiple associates and the seizure of 4 firearms. He was arrested for illegal possession of firearms and ammunition. 4 firearms to believe in Ortega's possession, along with 3 of his cell phones, were seized during the operation. During this search, Ortega Lopez was permitted to make a cell phone call before being taken to the Doña Ana County Detention Center. He informed agents that a particular phone he wished to use was not among the devices recovered. Video calls from the law enforcement center showed that Nancy Cano holding a black iPhone believed to be Ortega's. Why would she be holding? This is a judge, right? Our judge and his wife. In March 7th call with Ortega Lopez, Nancy Cano used the device to contact
cartel. She in with the cartel.
Then facilitated a FaceTime call between Michelle and Ortega Lopez using her personal phone. Additionally, in an April 20th call, Nancy Cano and Ortega Lopez discussed deleting his Facebook account, a platform where he had previously shared incriminating conduct, including gang affiliations and images with firearms. How fucking stupid do you have to be, honestly? I don't know, this is a judge, right? Yeah, Judge Cano. Fucking A. Can't make this up. So, in April 24, they executed a subsequent search warrant at the Cano residence to locate the missing cell phone. During questioning, Jose Cano admitted to destroying Ortega's cell phone and smashing it with a hammer approximately 5 weeks prior, believing it contained incriminating photos and videos of Ortega with firearms. Well, that's called self-snitching right there. Forensic analysis recovered of the phones revealed messages.
Yeah, people don't know what snitching is.
Activity, including So here's the thing. So Jose is charged with 1 count of tampering with evidence, and Judge Cano is charged with 1 count of conspiracy to tamper with evidence. And if convicted, they could face a maximum of 20 years. Why would you do that? This is a fucking judge. This I don't understand. But before we get to that, this is brought to you by AskALawyer.com. Money well spent if you have a landlord-tenant issue, a criminal issue, suggest you legally. I mean, they're rounding people up left and right, and they're not listening to the courts. So and here's the other one. The one that we were going to originally start just on this Milwaukee one, but now in the Eastern District of Wisconsin, Judge Hannah Dugan, the Justice Department announced today the filing of federal criminal charges against Milwaukee County Circuit Court Judge Hannah Dugan, 65 years old, for her alleged interference with federal law enforcement operation and unlawful concealment of an individual subject to arrest. According to court documents, the charges stem from the events occurring on April 18th, just recently, when members of the Milwaukee Office of the U.S. Immigration Customs Enforcement removal operations, they show up to fucking court. And these guys, if they find out when you have court and they just show up, enforcement and removal operations, along with federal partners, FBI, DEA, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, attempted to execute a lawful arrest warrant for Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Mexican national previously removed from the United States and recently charged in Milwaukee with multiple counts of domestic abuse and battery. So those are probably misdemeanors. According to court documents, federal agents arrived at the Milwaukee County Courthouse intending to arrest Flores Ruiz in a public hallway following his court appearance before Judge Dugan. Upon learning of the agent's presence in the hallway, Judge Dugan allegedly confronted and ordered the federal agents to leave the courthouse after being made aware of a valid immigration arrest warrant. Dugan told agents they needed a judicial warrant and demanded that they go to the chief judge's office. Once the agents were no longer in the vicinity of her courtroom, Judge Dugan allegedly elected not to conduct a hearing on Flores Ruiz's criminal case, despite the fact that the victims of this offense were present, and instead personally escorted Flores Ruiz and his attorney through the restricted jury door exit and not typically used by defendants or attorneys. This doorway led to a non-public hallway through which Flores Ruiz and his attorney exited the courtroom. According to the affidavit, Judge Dugan's actions directly resulted in Flores Ruiz temporarily avoiding federal custody. He was ultimately arrested outside the courthouse, but I mean, you had to know the agents were just waiting for him outside. It's just stupid. So she's charged with obstruction of legal proceedings before a department or agency of the United States, which carries a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison, and concealing a person to prevent arrest, which carries a maximum penalty of 1 year. I don't know why you would do that. You know, I mean, so you got two. So one of the things that is scary, it's when, you know, one branch starts going, you know, the executive branch starts going after the judiciary, right? And the crackdown in immigration is palpable right now. It's absolutely palpable. And I don't know what the statistics are, but I know that the percentage of immigrants that are engaged in criminal activity is less than our general population. Let's look at these two cases. These two cases are a little different. On the one hand, you got somebody actively destroying evidence in a criminal case. And that's a fucking judge doing that. That's a problem. That's a real problem.
Big problem.
And then in this case, the judge just let
so
the
much
person
entitlement.
go a different exit to try to avoid arrest. I don't know. I mean, she's probably miffed, you know, that they're having this chilling presence in her courthouse and in her courtroom. And I can't say what she did was right or wrong.
Self-snitching.
And I can't even say what she did was illegal or legal, you know? What is really disturbing, when you look at what they're trying to do, they're trying to use this Alien Enemies Act, and which are not subject to judicial review of the removal process. I mean, you saw them load all those guys up on the airplane, you know, in violation of the Supreme Court's order. And a district court said, no, bring them back. The Supreme Court said, facilitate this guy's return, Ortega's return. And the Trump administration didn't do it. The Justice Department claims that the Alien Enemies Act allows federal law enforcement officers to enter the houses of suspected gang members without a warrant and remove them from the country without any judicial review. That's ridiculous. You know, the Alien Enemies Act is designed to go after people who we're at war with, you know, not just people who are immigrants and committing crimes. You know, in a March 14th memo obtained by the government, by the Open Government Group Property of the People, Pam Bondi instructs federal law enforcement officers on how to carry out arrests on members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, TDA, which President Trump has declared an alien enemies under the Alien Enemies Act. This is an act
Are they coming back?
Easy in the calm of an instant offer, free pickup and fast payment.
But what does it say? You know, let's talk about the Fourth Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is the right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures without a warrant. So warrantless entry into your home is per se unreasonable, in other words, illegal, and can only be done so without a warrant under certain circumstances. One is hot pursuit. You can enter somebody's home if you witness a crime and you're on the chase. One can be if there's like a welfare check or, you know, some kind of emergency going on inside the home. There's the other one, the effervescent doctrine. If you're afraid that if there's evidence in the home that's going to dissipate or be destroyed, and so you need to, you know, enter the home. So it's one of the exceptions to the warrant requirement has to be there. Otherwise, the Constitution still fucking applies. Just because Pam Bondi says, you know, well, Donald Trump says we don't need the warrant because we're acting under the Alien Enemies Act. Sorry, I don't think any court is going to uphold that. But arresting these judges is going to have a chilling effect on that. I mean, this judge is in charge of her courtroom, and she can do what she pleases in her courtroom. She can tell the agents, you know, you're not to be in my courtroom or the courthouse. I know what you're here to do. Do it outside. And did she actively conceal this person? No, she said, go through this door. And guess what? They were outside and they got him. So I don't know if that judge did something right or wrong. All I know, it's chilling to start charging these judges with crimes. Now, the
Don't
ones who
break 'em.
destroyed evidence, I don't have any fucking problem with that.
No.
That's just stupid.
Everybody got to
But
follow the
using
law.
this act to all of a sudden say that we don't need a warrant to enter your
The
home.
Supreme Court must be drunk.
The Republicans have always been less government, more for
They
rights.
make the rules, they break
But
them.
it's really rights for the corporations, right? It's not for the rights of the people. I mean, when you look at what and I am a Democrat, I'm not going to hide that. But, and I don't agree with all the things that the Democrats do either. I'm actually more of an independent. But to say that you don't need a warrant to enter somebody's home at this point, just because you're acting on the 1798 law that hasn't been used since then, give me a fucking break. That's a slippery slope. What is the ramifications of this kind of thing? I mean, they don't enter somebody's home like this in regular clothes generally. I mean in uniform. It's usually plain clothes and it's usually with guns pointed at you. And you see somebody do this, how long before somebody is killed during this?
Right.
They're going to trample on, the Republicans are supposed to be for your rights. They're supposed to be for less government. And the overreach here by the government is just absolute. Imagine if the Democrats were doing this, what the Republicans would say. I mean, I think it's wrong.
Imagine that.
When you really take a hard look at what this administration is doing with immigration, they're casting a really wide net, and innocent people are getting wrapped up in it. We see that the one guy that they deported to El Salvador, who was going through the immigration process, and who had a district court order not to be removed. They don't fucking care. I mean, it's an issue when you take away the judiciary. There's no longer a check on the executive branch, and you got the Congress, which is
Everybody in that administration scared of Trump.
For a reason, and something's got to give here somewhere. But I can't tell you how many. I had a guy show for trial. He was here legally,
your days is good.
but he was going through he wasn't a citizen yet.
Yes, how about yours, Scott?
And they take him away, and send him back to his country. Doesn't even give him a chance to answer the charges. And we would have won his case, by the way. We absolutely would have won his case. I don't say that about a lot of cases, but we would have won his case. They're denying due process. They think they can enter your home. And they've been wrong on a number of occasions. They just put a professor, I think she's a professor, a student.
They breaking the rules
in custody because of her association with things she said about Gaza. Nothing else, just her own views. Are we in the McCarthy era? Where you can be jailed for your views. You can be deported because you think a certain way. It's chilling. It's absolutely chilling, and jailing and charging the judiciary with the crime is also chilling. Now, I can understand when you're destroying evidence. That's probably fucking bad. I don't have any problem with that one. I do have a little bit of an issue with the other one. All she did was let him go out of a different exit. That's all she did. She didn't conceal the person, and maybe there was more of a commotion in her courtroom. And she says, why didn't you guys leave out this way because of all the hubbub that just went on? That certainly could have been. And so my heart goes out to her. I mean, think about, you're a judge. You put people in jail. You're not supposed to go to jail. So that's our reaction to the two judges that have been charged by the Department of Justice with crimes going anywhere from a 22-year maximum to a 5-year maximum. We'll follow these cases, but you have to assert your rights. Everybody shows up to your house, guess what? No, you do not have permission to search my house. Don't shoot at them, because we're going to do that one too. They showed up to somebody else's house trying to execute a search warrant and didn't show up with the uniforms on, and they got shot at and somebody died. So it's just so fucking dangerous. So we'll see you next time here on Criminal Lawyer Reacts. Make sure you subscribe.
Okay, y'all, let's see what else before we go. I may have to come back. Hold on. Let me see what else may be popping. What's gonna happen to her? I don't want to talk about no pedo. Hold on, y'all. Let's see. Finesse. Did he turn himself in? Let's see what they say.
First story I'd like to break out, guys, is an important story. It's about Clayson Allison, which is the Texas teen who was on trial for murder. Very similar case to that of Austin Metcalf and, of course, Carmelo Anthony. Yes.
Do I want to do this now?
Yeah, let's go find out what happened.
Next on deck with Tim Black. Starts now with a breaking news alert.
All right, we do begin today with some breaking news this noon hour out of Bell County, where a jury has reached a verdict just about an hour ago in the trial of Clayson Allison. We know a lot of you have been following this very closely. Allison was accused of fatally stabbing Joe Ramirez at Belton High School back in 2022. After several hours of deliberation, the jury found Allison not guilty of murder in the death of Ramirez, but guilty of criminally negligent homicide.
Not
News 10's
guilty.
Isabella Quintanilla is joining us now live from outside the Bell County Justice Center, where she has been following this trial since last week. Isabella, what can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right, Julie. It has been a long couple of days with the jurors deliberating for nearly 11 hours in total, and many people anxiously awaited the verdict. And as you can imagine, emotions were extremely high as they waited. Even before the jury came in, the entire courtroom was tense, with people on both sides of the court looking both nervous and already getting emotional. As the deputy read the verdict to the defense, there were gasps of shock and relief from both sides. And when walking out, the anger and frustration among Joe Ramirez's family and friends was clear, with one person throwing a water bottle against a wall, another screaming as they walked out of the building. We did hear from Allison's defense attorney, Zachary Boyd, who says this was a hard case, but that they're relieved by the outcome.
This case has been accompanied
Can
with
y'all get the
threats
lights up for
against
me?
Clayson Allison.
Please get the lights up.
Against the defense team. You felt that tension in the courtroom. We have continually requested people to keep an eye out, people to investigate. And I'm just thankful that the Bell County Sheriff's Office has taken it so seriously and taken everyone's safety seriously. Cayson's family, the juries.
Allison has been released under his bond conditions, which will stay in place until his sentencing hearing on June 16th. Now, depending on what Judge Falconer decides, Allison could face 6 months to 2 years in a state jail. Reporting live in Belton, Isabella Quintanilla, KWTX News 10.
Next on
Live from outside.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, what?
Folks, tee this up, tee it up, Tim, tee it up.
All y'all who
Good
was
enough.
saying, "Oh, it's
Get
murder,"
on the screen.
when
This
it
is important.
comes to Carmelo Anthony.
said, how are you feeling?
I feel.
Very important case. Very important case for those people that have been following the Casey, the
Carmelo.
Clayson Allison case. They've been comparing it a lot to what's happening with the Carmelo Anthony case.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the same state. You know, very rarely, guys, when I cover a story like this, when I'm trying to do commentary, and very rarely I'm able to compare apples to apples.
And it really,
this ain't exactly like the case.
Well, hold on now, sir. I'm not familiar with you, Mr. Dark Shadow, but it ain't. It's Texas, one black, one white. They both was defending themselves with knives. Carmelo stuck he stuck the knife in the chest and ran. Kaysen, he's stuck, sliced, stuck again, and sliced again. You know, he had 4. He had 4 stab wounds. Yeah. So it's they not equal, and they still, and they had Kaysen and Rodriguez had a prior incident before. You know, it wasn't playing that day, so now it ain't equal. But let's listen.
It's a Carmelo Anthony with Austin Metcalf, but it's pretty damn close. I mean, they're in the same state.
Right.
It involved a knife.
Right.
Somebody was unalived.
Right. Okay. I give you that.
That's a lot of similarities. There are also some racial elements to the story as well.
Right. Okay.
So I know there are people that, because they can't make it spin it the way they want to spin it.
Right.
They're going to pretend that those similarities don't exist. That they're not important similarities.
They're not realistic, but
weight,
okay.
But they do carry weight. Here's what you need to know about the case, man, in comparison to the two. Carmelo Anthony is accused of unaliving Austin Metcalf. He stabbed him one time, ran off.
Okay.
There's no indication that they plan to meet.
He said the same thing I'm saying, ain't it?
So what you hear on the internet. And looks like one person was the aggressor, one person was telling another person to leave the area.
And put hands on.
That person put their hands on someone.
Okay, let's go.
And then one thing led to another, and that person, Austin Metcalf, was stabbed. And this is tragic. I wish it didn't happen.
Rest in peace, Austin
Metcalf would have prevailed. I wish somebody would have broken up. I wish an adult would have been present at the track meet.
Let me say this. He is the first person who summed it up without adding or eliminating facts. So shout out to you, Mr. Black. Shout out to you. How about that? Let's go.
I wished any of the children would have felt they could have broken up. I wish something could have happened to prevent it, but it did not happen.
Facts.
Tragedy did happen.
Facts.
In the case of Clayson Allison, this was a fight that they planned to have.
No. Not that day. Not in the restroom.
It was all over the internet. I mean, all over the school. And it wasn't just one group of fighters. It was going to be 3 fights in the same location. And all it was going to be a 3-on-3 fight. 3 of Clayson's friends, I think maybe including Clayson, 2 others, and Joe Ramirez, 2 other people that knew him was going to be fighting as well.
Not in the restroom.
This was actually premeditated. Okay? He had the knife knowing there was going to be a fight.
True.
Clayson Allison stabbed Joe Ramirez 5 times.
Now you
Welcome to Visible.
Now he fuzzing, y'all. He kind of adding a little sauce to it. It was 4.
5. So, I think, as I've been pointing out to people, I wish this never would have happened once again, but I also wish that Austin Metcalf would have kept his hands to himself.
Facts.
I have no indication of nothing that I've seen. No one's been able to convince me that Carmelo Anthony went to that track meet to unalive Austin Metcalf when he did not know.
Facts.
Not a person can convince me of that. And when someone says, get your hands off me, don't touch me, just hit me and see what happened. That's not telling you to do it. In my opinion, that's someone saying, you better not do it.
All right.
And Austin Metcalf felt
That's what that means to us.
People tell him, telling him not to put his hands onto their bodies.
That's what they mean to us.
No one disputes
Don't touch
that
me.
that's what happened, that Austin Metcalf put hands on someone twice. No one disputes that. So yeah, you see what it is now. Clayson Allison could do as much as 2 years. Could do as little as 6 months.
I could just be put on probation.
He was acquitted of the murder charge. His charge is criminally negligent homicide. Another similarity in the case is that people are very upset. People are so upset with Clayson Allison that there were death threats made to Clayson Allison and his defense staff and the defense lawyers. Same things happened to Carmelo Anthony. Death threats to him and his family, his younger siblings. Dad had to leave his job. Austin Metcalf the Metcalfs haven't escaped death threats either, according to them. I wonder why. I don't understand, but, I guess people will do what they do. I don't know if I believe that death threats are being made to Austin's dad.
I don't believe that either.
Just seems a little weird. But hey, said he got swatted 3 times. I'm hoping that if that was a fabrication, the good police department there would have found out what happened.
Facts.
So here we are, guys. This is where we at, folks. Look, I'm going to continue to update you to the situation. This has really no bearing on our case with Carmelo Anthony, but once again, if it's any indication of how Texas treats such cases of stand your ground, it might be a glimpse into what we're looking at with Carmelo Anthony. All we want is justice. And I feel like justice in this case,
maybe, sir.
Yeah, I feel like justice in this case will not be a murder conviction. I can tell you that right now.
Exactly.
But we shall see. All right, guys, let me know in the comments.
Oh, yeah, we agree, sir.
Does the Clayson Allison ruling, does the verdict, in any way give you hope? Or does it make you...
It give me confirmation.
Yeah, there you go. So if you feel like the
it give me confirmation of what I've been saying.
Justified or a good verdict.
Everybody keep your hands to yourself.
If you don't think it was, think it was not a good verdict to him, him being acquitted of murder, but guilty of a lesser charge.
Not even manslaughter.
0's no, 1 is yes. All right, guys.
Okay, y'all. I'll be back. I'll start another live when they start back up. Yeah, y'all didn't hit the like button enough for me. Okay. Y'all need to support the platform or hit the like button. And y'all ain't done neither. What was this? Fire MP. Y'all done neither. Okay. Bye.